it should not be just about copying down A below A and B below B and making those, cursive patterns and all. It should be more about each time, following an index and thinking and solving a new thing in its own way. So the more challenge the brain gets at this age, we can expect more development of brain in terms of cognition, and that would enhance the IQ of children, intelligence quotient. And not just that, I take a separate session on skill-based learning in early years. So all the skills, whether it is thinking skill or social emotional, or first of all physical development, their motor skill development, so all these things uh, have to be nurtured during this time. And for this, in my school, we have created games for each class, which are for their social development and emotional balance and motor development, fine motor development, neuro, and readiness for learning. So and these games are not played once but many times in a class, and on observation basis teachers fill up their rubrics, and that's taken very seriously. Also the life skills which are about the self management of a child, right from how the child identifies all the material which lies in the school bag, whether it is English workbook or say EVS book. So first of all by the color, and then through sight reading, and there are so many of things which go into play. Theater in education is also taken into account when we have our theater sessions. Umang we call it, and every class has a different showcase where it's about a complete full length drama of say 45 minutes to 1 hour, where 100% participation of all the students is there. So with all that, we can expect that these developments would take place, and along with that, communication and this literacy and numeracy, given a lot of practice with the help of those creative worksheets that I'm talking about. And so with that, ECC uh, will emerge as a powerful equalizer, because the gaps which we see in learning, when our national benchmarking has been done by Pratham, it was found that many of our children in India, in different belts, cannot even read at the age of 7. Many of the fifth graders are not even able to multiply and divide and add, subtract, the simple things. So to know, for a child to know, simple things like why 11, how 11 is greater than say 7. So to everyone, it will look like a small and simple thing, but actually, if you will pay attention to this concept, many children do not realize they may, learn counting. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, they do, and maybe by virtue of that, they may see that 12 comes later, so it comes. But to have the sense of that quantification, that why 11. So if we give them that experiential learning, simple thing I would say, using their body to learn the concept. For example, simply if you jump, those many times, if you jump 7 times with using your entire body, and you jump 11 times, the body would know that I'm jumping more and how much I'm jumping more. Like when you compare 7 and 9, then it is, say 2 times I've jumped more, the body will realize. This was a small example which I'm giving. And we have, hundreds and thousands of concepts like that. So for everything, that experiential learning can be designed, and we have done it in our school. As far now with this NEP thing, I'm sure by now all our educationists know about it, that NCRT is preparing, is researching widely into all the best practices, at national and international level. And we are expecting to see a wonderful framework, and manual which they would prepare, and the books which will be coming in. Um, but any amount of training is not sufficient until that vision and intent which our moderator was pointing out at. So creating that climate in school, and in-house training going on, observation sessions, feedbacks, follow-ups, with the teachers, motivation process for teachers also, at their little progress. We talk about children regarding this. So teachers also, when they move from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, so to applaud their little progress, which is coming each day, and feeling that pride as, the complete community, which is moving forward, in the direction, in this direction, to make a progression every day by day and week by week and year by year. So I think with that climate, all these preparations by NCRT and so many training portals now, also I'm sure all our principals are observing this Disha platform, and so many workshops. I have myself conducted about 50 of them, during these months, these online trainings, and so much is happening these days like never before. So I think the scene is changing already, and integration of arts, this year it has been taken in a big way. We also participated in this toy fair. We exhibited, where we exhibited our toys, which we use in our school, for different conceptual learnings. So integration of music and puppetry and art and craft, so using all those integrated projects brings the concept so alive in the class, and they so much enjoy while doing it, and do show it to the parents also. So online also, you were mentioning, Mr. Pratap. So I would say this was a big opportunity, and we have completely used it, because when we are your teachers are teaching well in the classroom. Yes, of course, parents get to know through the result and through the growth in their children. But when they have taught online, parents have seen them every day, while sitting at home. So here, the kind of sharings the teachers have done, if they have conducted some little workshops for children, they have conducted workshops, they have done some happiness activities with them, they have done some activities with them, they have engaged them by unmuting and asking questions, and class has moved through interactions. Then, I would say parents have seen it all the more in the online. So this was a bigger opportunity to also train our parents about these methodologies, and also to make them, happy about seeing how the school is doing it. So I'm sure every school is making use of the opportunity, and if not, I think we can all motivate our teachers to do more and more of it. So with this, with high commendation for all what has come in NEP. So I am really looking forward to come into training more and more for this also, not only in my school, and even outside, and wherever I can, give my input, so that we can all together, make such a large difference, and we can redefine education, as I'm also doing through Reimagine Shiksha. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuradha ma'am, for these wonderful thoughts. You also shared a lot of examples, a lot of practical, I would say actionable items you presented to all of us. You began by saying that execution is going to be a very important key, and that is going to define the fate of this policy. You also talked about the teachers' engagement need to be more interactive. Teachers need to be a bit more innovative, while interacting with students. You also talked about the importance of mapping the learning outcomes, and then you talked about in detail about the importance this NEP has given to ECC. In fact, after being part of this number of sessions, I believe one big achievement this NEP has already done. It has already created that mass awareness about the importance of these early years. Now, even the general people have recognized the importance of these early years, which was not there, I would say.
And another important point, which I would like to add, that not only formal schools, NEP is going to have these trainings in daycare centers and play schools and Anganwadis also. So it's going to reach out all over. So I'm sure the children who are spending their time in Anganwadi and all will also be benefited.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is talking about training to Anganwadi workers. You also talked about, why teachers need to offer more challenges to these, earlier kids for better brain development. And you talked about why skills need to be nurtured. Various skills need to be nurtured during this period. You also talked about importance of experiential learning and how it can, create a more effective learning environment. And then you talked about and you shared your assessment that vision and intent are more important than policy or training or any other topic. So big thanks, Anuradha ma'am, for sharing these important ideas and thoughts. I'll be coming back to you with questions. Thank you, ma'am. And now I would invite Dr. M. Ramachandran sir. Sir, if you can have your ideas, your thoughts. Sir, you are on mute.
Hello. Yeah, good evening. Yes, we have rightly remarked that we are in the phase of implementing new education policy. I would like to say, as a prelude to the course, though it's a concurrent subject, the head of the institutions like us, we have got a pivotal role to implement. So we at Sharada have already started implementing one by one. Say, for example, professional development goals earmarked as NEP. So I can say that Sharada Residential School is the one school which started digital teaching learning process right from first week of April 2020. Until that process continues, now it has transformed as blended learning as visualized in the policy that more importance to technology as well as technology bringing to the classroom. Now, my topic related to the new education policy is the demographic dividend, which I can find rootings in our education policy as well as in our day-to-day school functioning. Here, Madam referred about 2-3 important things. That is one about PISA, an international program for international student assessment, and the Pradham's survey report. These are one external and one internal reports narrated about, briefed about the poor status of poor quality of learning outcome prevailing in the primary, middle school as well as high schools in India. And demographic transition, what I can say, the percentage of population, its proportion over and above the dependent population. As per 2018 census is concerned, 2018 statistics is concerned, 62.5% of Indian population belonging to the group, age group, 18 to 64 years, which is the highest in the world. If I say the median age in India is 28 years, whereas in China and America, it is 38 years. In Japan, it is 49 years. In Western Europe, it is 43 years, means India is the youngest country in the aging world. So how we tap these potential, human resource potential for the growth of our country? So here the question, are we able to utilize, tap the potential of human resources? And of course, the existing educational policy, which culminated in PISA performance, class-term students of Indian school system, first time taken part in the PISA examination in the year 2009. Though PISA started right from 2000, India joined first time in 2009. It's once in a 3-year international assessment competency-based examination in 3 subjects like mathematics literacy, science literacy, financial literacy, and English literacy. Sorry to share with you the performance of Indian students in 2009. Our first attempt was very dismal. India ranked 73rd out of 74 participant nations. That is, we stood the second from the bottom. The students from Tamil Nadu and Himachal Pradesh taken, the class 10 students of Himachal Pradesh and Tamil Nadu taken examination, but their English performance was absolutely nil. Mathematics, they performed in a negligible way, and science also absolutely poor. The then HRD Ministry Education Secretary made a statement that our children were not able to comprehend the questions. As a result, after the 2009 result came, the government of India, the then HRD, withdrawn from participating PISA contest. So last 2-3 years, the present incumbent government, then HRD, now Education Ministry, is preparing the students of Kendriya Vidyalaya, students of Navodaya Vidyalaya, and students from Union Territory of Chandigarh to prepare the 2021 cycle of PISA examination. The same way, Pratham survey report also proved that a 7th class mathematics students cannot do what is graded for grade 2. So this is a poor literacy, what reflect India's present situation. And in the same way, when you take the human capital index is concerned, human capital index is human productivity and quality of human capital is concerned. As per the 2020 World Bank report, India stands 136th position out of 187 countries ranked. So this is the poor or the dismal performance of human quality or human resources. So as a panacea, the government has introduced new education policy with the sole aim of to reap the demographic dividend. Now the question how? The element of skilling, what I can say, vocational training to be introduced right from primary school onwards, coding as well as skilling classes as an activity right from 6th onwards, gross enrollment in foundational literacy stage as well as mathematical literacy, I mean primary school, foundational schools, 100% enrollment, the gross enrollment occurring by 2030. These are all some of the stepping stones to achieve, to empower the existing student population, those who are in the class, and after 10 or 12 years, these youngsters coming out of the classroom and entering the job market in the productive force, I mean labor force, where we are going to see a productive, the marginal productivity of each workforce is going to improve. That is going to step up, I mean, the growth of Indian economy. This is the way that the government earmarked how we can marketize, we can tap this potential. My own words, what I can say, the new educational policy is the oil which is going to lubricate the wheel of India's economy to achieve the declared goal of like a $5 trillion economy by the year 2030. So here, take my case is concerned, my school is concerned, we have already started skilling program for 6th grade students. I can say on 18th of March, this Saturday, my children are going to attend a special workshop on coding. So this way from 6th onwards, students will be trained, and not out at all like vocational training. We are now finding a survey about establishments, workshops, factories in and around Udupi, where we can have a listen with those workshops to send our children to gain like a vocational training experience. And of course, the same way, the empowerment of teaching community, the pedagogues, it's also happening as a result. You just imagine last 10 months of transition happened. Those days in March 2020, we know our teachers were laymen. That means they were not experienced in digital teaching experience. Now they are expertise. So this way we are empowering teachers as well as skilling of the students. No doubt at all. These youngsters coming out after their college education, university education, they join the workforce a productive workforce that is going to strengthen our country. So this is very one purpose of new education policy. What I can say, revolutionizing the education for human development, for nation's economic growth. So professional development, because we don't need any government support or government order or government invitation, how we can empower our teaching community. So the school can initiate about 1 hour training session or 2 hours one-day training session every week to empower and to bring about changes to impart 21st century teaching skills among teachers. Of course, they can cater the requirement of 21st century learning skills among students. So this is my thought on new education policy. It is not only a futuristic one, it is not only what I can say a holistic one, it is a growth oriented one. So we all stakeholders, every stakeholder have our own responsibility to implement it its perfection. I'm sure that the parents and all stakeholders of my school system is 100% agree to implement the same. Hopefully, if we have a willpower, no doubt at all, we can improve. We can implement without any confusion, except in language areas. I mean the media of instruction, but all other pedagogical factors, other learning curriculum factors that teachers have liberty to implement it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramchandran sir, for sharing these valuable insights. You began by sharing and calling upon all the educators that we should not wait for the government. The government has done its job. It has given us the policy. Now we have to implement it. And it's highly appreciated that your school has already started the implementation part. You very well said that India is among the youngest nation across the world, but the now challenge is how to tap the potential, from our youth. You also talked about the poor status of gross enrollment ratio, and this NEP has targeted that. And I'm sure in coming time, as per your assessment, that will be resolved. You also talked about how NEP is focusing upon creating more skilled and employable graduates from our, educational setup, educational institutions. And you rightly said that NEP has given its great focus to that part. So in the end, you shared your assessment that NEP is a futuristic document, which is talking about future, which is which is making a very strong attempt to prepare India for the future. And you also said, and we all agree with you when you say that NEP has the potential to create the right environment for the holistic development. So big thanks, Ramchandran sir, for sharing these valuable thoughts and insights. I'll be coming back to you with questions, sir. Thank you, sir. And now I would request and invite Dr. C.G. Geeta ji, Geeta ma'am, if we can have your thoughts and your ideas.
Good afternoon, everyone. See, the NEP, when we are taking the pedagogy and curriculum, it says that it should be an integrated and inclusive education, and plus the learning should be engaging and enjoyable. So when we are looking at it, you know that already it is divided into 5+3+3+4. So the extension of the early childhood education to grade 1 and 2, that's a very good decision, because that mother teacher concept, it can be extended till second standard. So the children will be more happily learning. Along with that, as Ramachandran sir said, 6 to 8, we are going to start with the skills teaching. So the children will be learning different skills. And when they are coming to the higher grades, it's a kind of mix and match regarding the subjects in 11th and 12th, the choice of subjects. Earlier, we used to offer like physics, chemistry, mathematics, but now the children are subjects based on a mix and match system, which will equip them to go ahead with their interested areas. And when we are concentrating on these areas, we will be able to produce few students who are not only concentrating on the white collar jobs, but they will be able to find their own earning in some other way where they are very much interested. Plus, we can say that these children will have a lot of education regarding how to face the real life situations, and they will be more practical oriented when they are facing the life. For example, when we are talking about all these, you know that CBSE already they were coming forward with experiential learning. And last year we had a lot of workshops, and we were equipping the teachers also how to go ahead with that. And now I have seen one question in the chat box. One teacher is asking, within this 45 minutes of time, how can we implement all these? So when we are talking about the pedagogy and curriculum, we are saying that it should be engaging and enjoyable. So the children should have an enjoyable and engaging learning. For example, I can say that my schools, we have 8 schools altogether, Sri Gokulam Public Schools. Last year, we came forward with one program. I would like to speak about that program because we have only some 8 to 10 minutes. We won't be able to go in detail. But still, with one example, if I can tell you how the learning can be enjoyable and engaging, then our goal will be met. For example, last year, I have introduced a program in my school. It was known as Know My India. So Know My India program, you know, all the states we have taken, and we started giving one state to each class. Like it started from LKG to grade 12. And all the parents were invited to come to the school on that day. And when we are getting, for example, Kerala, LKG was given the easiest one, the state Kerala. So all the children were dressed up in that attire, and the children were asked to learn 1 or 2 sentences, at least 1 or 2 words. To say welcome or thank you in that particular language. Plus, that day, few students were taken and they will be standing in a line, and one will be talking about the rivers of that state. One will be talking about the mountains. One will be talking about the weather conditions. One will be talking about the main, art and craft, which is very much famous in that particular state. And another one will be talking about the peculiar features, like that the children will be standing and giving all the parents or all the visitors a very good idea about that state. Plus, the whole classroom, it was decorated like an art exhibition. Whatever is so much famous in that state, it was all exhibited on the walls. Plus, that day, it was like a food festival. So, whatever food culture each state is having, the children used to make from home. Even the parents also were cooperative. So, all these dishes were being exhibited, and the parents also came and they were tasting it, and few of them they were buying it. So we conducted it as a food festival day also. So by the end of the day, is visiting all the classes. Very easily the child could learn about India as a whole. You know, this year our Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat, we were paired with Himachal Pradesh, but there, you know, all the states, the children got a very good idea about it, plus even the parents also. It was very much appreciated by both the parents and the students. So finally what happened is the social studies, teaching India, it's a very difficult task for all the teachers. But when we are going to continuously conduct this program for 2-3 years, so that the classes will be getting different states, and when they are doing it and learning it, it becomes thorough for everyone. The whole school, it's a nice experience. So this way, if we can develop each and every activity, and our NEP also says that there should be bagless days. That's a very good concept. The children can come without bags to the school, and there will be an activity which will be giving them knowledge as well as they are going to enjoy. So there, the first key sentences which I was talking about, the integrated and inclusive learning. So all the children are taking part in that, whether there will be children with a lot of talents, there will be children with a lot of gifts. So maybe differentially able children, everyone will be getting a role in that. So that finally we are making that learning enjoyable and engaging. All the children are getting engaged in that, and it is enjoyable. Also, when we are stepping into that room, for example, again I'm saying LKG, they have given the Kerala. So it's a very simple thing. The Kerala type of songs and all will be heard in that room, and all the art forms, different performing art forms and all will be exhibited over there. So it's very easily it is going into the brain of the children, as well as everyone else also can enjoy. Like this, we are designing many different programs. Also, we conducted one science day. On that day, the children, they were taking a few concepts from the science, and a few of them came forward with rap music. They made a rap music. Science everywhere, science, I can see science here and there, like that. They made a big their own lyrics, and they were presenting it in the assembly. So like this, each day is allotted for each subject, and on Saturdays, if we can make it like that, and when it is called as a bagless day, then itself the children become happy, because the children, they don't want to see hear the word learning, study and all. So when it is an activity based learning, and when it is a bagless day for such activities, definitely we can make the learning and the teaching both engaging and enjoyable. So implementing NEP, I think we all are going to enjoy. We as principals or head of the institutions, we are going to enjoy implementing this NEP, and the teachers also are going to enjoy implementing it. Plus, the children also are going to enjoy it. So it's a very good idea from the side of the government, and I'm looking forward to the day when we can start implementing it. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you, sirs.
Thank you, Geeta ma'am, for sharing these wonderful thoughts. You also shared a few very interesting ideas, for all of us to implement. You began by, highlighting the importance of flexibility of choosing subjects and how it is going to create that massive impact, where people, learners would be able to choose careers as per their choices rather than just following a conventional path. You also talked about, why we need to empower our teachers, in order to create joyful classrooms. Why teachers need to be innovative. In fact, during the last session, Jaswinder sir said that today's students are the real digital natives, and teachers, they are the digital migrants. So teachers need to be more innovative. Teachers need to be more, adaptable. They need to adapt according to the students of today's age. You also talked about the importance and excitement of students, while implementing these ideas like bagless days and the kind of practices you are implementing in your schools. So that was simple yet very interesting and very useful. I would say action-oriented action plan. So big thanks, Geeta ma'am, for sharing these important ideas. I'll be coming back to you with questions. Big thanks. And meanwhile, we have been joined by a few very senior educators. We have been joined by Arundhati Hoskari ma'am. So Vinita ma'am, I was talking about her only, and Arundhati ma'am has joined us. And Tessie ma'am has also joined us, Principal Lemere Public School, Kerala. So Tessie ma'am, welcome. And big thanks for joining. Now I would invite Vinita. Welcome ma'am. Now I would invite Vinita Rajput ma'am. Ma'am, your ideas and your thoughts. Ma'am, you are on mute.
It was great listening to the thoughts of such wonderful leaders regarding pedagogy and curriculum, and that's what I'm going to talk about as well. I'll only be sharing my experiences. I'm not going to get into all the, the mapping of whatever the plan NEP has proposed, that this is how we are going to do that. Well, let me share with you, we are already doing that, and we are doing much more than what NEP has proposed. So I'm in a position where I can actually share my experiences, how we did that. To begin with, it needs to be done in a manner which is actually doable, not just this activity, that activity, because teachers and principals are fountain of knowledge and concepts. But what is happening right now, this confusion is absolutely unwarranted. You just need to sit down and figure out, plan it out. Usually what happens, like it's my 22nd year as a principal, we usually have maybe this publisher for mathematics, that publisher for English. We put together a jargon of books and yes, kids study. In most schools, this happens. There are only few schools who have perhaps developed their own curriculum, designed it, envisioned it, put it into practice. Let me share with you, there are 3 such experiences I had, and this is 4th. First one was when I came across iDiscovery, beautiful curriculum, designed and execution. Everything is as per the syllabus prescribed by CBSE, but completely activity based. Number 2, I was principal at MM International School, and we had CIE curriculum. Most of the things are taken care of. You just need to add the dash of, whatever you're doing in your country through history, and you do it. Then comes the 3rd one was Euroschool. When I was principal at Euroschool Bangalore, they have an amazing curriculum, same as iDiscovery. But so far, amongst all these, I hit the jackpot when I joined the Millennium School, Patiala. I mean, at this juncture, when you have traveled in this field for 22 years and you're pretty satisfied with whatever you are getting, this curriculum, management had the vision to plan it for good 10 years with 400 researchers. And then it was implemented in 2008 for the first time. What is this curriculum that I'm talking so greatly about? So when I received the document, when I heard about what NEP is going to do, and I was just smiling inward, okay, I'm safe. I don't have to do anything because we've been doing it for good years now. And what is that? The vision was, to begin with, was 7-petaled approach. That was fine motor skills, personal awareness, socio-emotional development, gross motor, language development, cognitive development, nurturing individual potential. So all these are, in a way, when I went through NEP, it was they were talking about experiential learning and languages, knowing about your own country more, no bags. But then CBSE has always been talking about it. They just might have put it in a structure. So as and when these things kept on happening, we kept on just doing it in principle. CCE was not a failure. It might have gone away, but it changed a lot of mindset of the people. So what we need to do, I'm going to talk about how we can go about holistic learning. Number 1, the curriculum needs to be designed. We have such a wonderful curriculum design with activities, with 49 strategies. That curriculum needs to be delivered through those 49 strategies. And we have been having 52 hours of training since last 10 years, mandatory training for everyone, including me. I had to crack the code of learning these 49 strategies, give an online test. Only then I was equipped to go through the classroom and assess my teacher or observe my teacher. So I'll share one strategy with you, how it works. The thing is, let's take it class 3rd. It begins from class 3rd. It's called Smash It. What is Smash It? You just don't smash anything around in the classroom. Teacher comes to the classroom and gives the chapter's overview. Say, for example, maybe it is plants. Okay, I'm going to teach you about plants, how plants help us, and how we should nurture plants and forests. That's it. She divides the entire chapter, 2 paragraphs, team A of 5 students, team B, team C, team D, team E. And mind you, in our school, we do not have kids more than 25 to 27 because it would be a failure. The curriculum would be a failure if we had a strength of more than 30. So now what kids do? Kids are supposed to go to that paragraph. Each kid has to come up with one summing up in one sentence. So there are 5 sentences. They have to work in a team, and there is a gentle competition with rest of the groups. Now they have done that. They're supposed to pin that up, smash it on the soft board, come to the fore, give the presentation to the rest of the class. And now the rest of the class listens, and the rest of the teams have to ask one question each. They do that, this goes on, teacher gives them badges, rewards. The sum up of the entire thing is this activity that is going on is teachers asking them HOTS at the end of the session. Critical questions, making them think. So what has happened? What has happened is child could assimilate the information, analyze it, put it down on a paper in a precis writing, that is application, and then give a presentation and face the questions with confidence. So not only the knowledge is not going to go away, it's the process. If the child is learning through this process till class 10th in various subjects, what does child know? He becomes a critical thinker. He knows how to form an opinion. He knows how to talk confidently. That's public speaking. And so on and so forth. You name the soft skill and he's learning it. And that's just one strategy. So, and when the question comes to you, that where do you get time to do that? The kids did it all together. If a child was asking a question of the other team, of course, he had to know the answer to ask the question. So when such things are happening, and when we have this activity, this particular activity, then 2 periods are clubbed so that in one go, the entire chapter is taken care of. And the next, another 2 sessions on the subsequent days, they go through the discussions, they do it, they learn it, and then they write it. They write on their own. No questions are written on the board or anywhere. This is a beautiful thing. So if I'm talking about, we did it at the Millennium School, I'm sure each one of you, such wonderful speakers they're talking about, all you need to do is get down together with your team, have ideations, put them down, put down each and every chapter, divide it, put activities in, clock it. We just need to begin. There's absolutely no confusion because teachers have been doing even greater jobs. This pandemic has opened up the Pandora's box, and not the bees came out, beautiful things came out. I saw my teachers becoming think tanks overnight, and I was just the facilitator. In our school, we are not called principals, we are called chief facilitator or officer. So CLO, that's what I am, or chief learning officer. This is what we do. And the teachers are not called teachers, they're called facilitators. The minute thing of changing the name itself, the tag, gives freedom to the teachers, to thinkers. And that's just one strategy. My class 6th or 7th or 8th kid can hands-on have a happy, healthy debate with any class 11th and 12th grader. And we are not stepping out of the bounds of what CBSE says. The syllabus has been put around in such a manner. So that's all you all guys need to do. That's all. Perhaps you're already doing it. I'm being too rash in saying that you need to do. You perhaps have already done it. All we need to do is share it with everybody. It's included in the curriculum throughout. Class 6 to 8, we have introduced 200 careers. The vocational careers, CBSE through NEP, CBSE wants to introduce. You just need to give them a nudge. You just need to introduce it to them, and they do it. And then we have a museum day. We call it a museum day. And children bring about everything that they have in their house according to whatever the teacher has asked, or make it along with the parents. We never have an exhibition without their parents' support. They come and they talk. So my point is, I would rather let my child write 10 pages. Of course not. He or she should be able to just write 2 pages on their own. Never mind how many mistakes there are. That's a teacher's job to help them learn. So making them thinkers means we really need to think out of the box all the times. So the way we did it in our B.Ed, while we were learning how to become teachers, lesson plans, very detailed lesson plans. Most of the teachers used to talk about what a bother. Now that bother is a reality. If you do that, the planning right from the beginning, down to the minute and hours, I give 20% of leeway to my teachers. Okay, even though we have a plan, we have had trainings for it. If you have a brilliant idea, when you give me the plan, write down, I don't go by this idea, and let's do it. So putting it in practice is simpler than, it looks as if we won't be able to do it. All our teachers have been trained in CCE. It's just a next little step. CCE has been, wrapped up nicely in a different way. A few more things have added. So that's what my sum up is. It's easy. Talking about our own country, art integration, we have a TDP, talent development program. Let me show you what is talent development program. All the schools have various coaches coming in. So what I did was I put all the sports teachers and coaches to the task, develop 60 hours of sports curriculum for the entire year. And kids would choose that, and right from 5 minutes of maybe perhaps warming up, and then dribbling if it is football, how to kick it, front kick, back kick, everything step-wise they needed to teach them. And I told them, and just someday pick up your lesson plan, go out, check in the field whether my kids are able to do that. It's not just random 2 games. So we allotted 4 periods of sports. We integrated it in the curriculum in such a way that there has to be some learning taking place. Another example I would say is that when my teacher, through another activity, was teaching latitudes and longitudes, kids brought oranges. And they drew latitudes and longitudes on orange, that orange. They learned it. Not one single child forgot when I checked after 3 months. And then they talked about what peel contains and vitamin C. So there were so many things child was learning, and child learned what is a pip. And that was such a little word, but not commonly used. So this is how we need to go about. And I believe if India goes about it, if all the teachers do it, I suppose there would be, a storm that would go about in our country. It just needs to be done.
Right.
And I rest my case. Maybe it's already been done. I'm sorry. I just keep on saying it needs to be done. My co-principals would have done it. Visionaries would have already done it. I may not be aware about it. I heard some people today, and I'm grateful that you brought me here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinita ma'am, for sharing these wonderful thoughts. You began highlighting the importance of skill development, and you made a very strong assessment that CC was not a failure. It plays a very important role in changing the mindset. And on that change mindset, we are able to see this NEP possibility. We are going to make it execute. You also talked about the importance of intent among teachers to innovate. That's very important. You also talked about the importance of learning by sharing, and you shared a lot of good examples, your own examples, success stories. So we all learned a lot from your talk. You also talked about, why students are need to be encouraged to think and organize, create their own plan, plan to become successful in their own task, and how it would create an impact. And then you talked about that very useful thought, talent development program, which you ran at your institution. So big thanks, Vinita ma'am. We all, it was a learning interaction, and I'll be coming back to you with questions. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would invite Dr. Sanjay Saklani ji. Sanjay ji, you belong to the new age education leaders. I'm sure you look at this national education policy with a different perspective. So we all are very excited to hear your ideas and your thoughts. Saklani sir. Sir, you are on mute. Sir, you are on mute, Sanjay sir. Sir,
done. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm the last principal to speak on this NEP and other things. I was listening to all the experience and learned people, starting from Radha ma'am, and a good sharing. And Radha ma'am mentioned in the beginning that she supports the change which this NEP is going to bring in this education system. So I also support that change. So we are not in another group. We all are in the same group. We all are supporting the change. But there are some things which on which I have some questions. So this new education policy has given this 5+3+3+4 15-year system. So already we were following that. Earlier also we had 10+2. But if we talk about the private schools, we already had this nursery, LKG, UKG, 3 years already added to that our education system. Though government school, they didn't have it. That's a separate case. But our private schools already had it. I joined as a principal in 2012, and from then I am just having this system in my school, and almost all the private schools, they have this system in their schools. And if we talk about early childhood care and education that new education policy has presented, 70 to 80% we are already following it. As Vinita Rajput ma'am said, we are already following that thing. We are already working on the skills of the students. And but yes, the question comes, implementation of the things. Yes, in education policy, they have mentioned that national curricular pedagogical framework for childhood care and education is going to be prepared by NCERT. So will it be implemented on private schools also? Because as ma'am said, Vinita ma'am said, some schools they are designing their own curricula, for their early childhood students. But after that, after this implementation, what would be the criteria of the education department, education ministry? Are they going to force this curriculum on us, or will we be free to follow our things which we are doing from the beginning? Because here the question is about the government school and the private schools. Private schools already following 70 to 80% of the education policy is being followed already. But yes, in government schools, things are not there proper. I'm not mentioning any particular state, but it's happening. But yes, in education policy, they're talking about the Anganwadis. They are talking about Anganwadis in the primary schools. But in our schools, so we don't have any Anganwadis, and moreover, very less students are coming from Anganwadis to our school, because we have our own system. We have the preschools in our schools. Most of the private schools, they have the pre-system. So nobody is coming from the Anganwadis. And here, if we talk about the teacher training in early childhood care education, they have mentioned only about the teachers, those who are 12th class pass. For them, they have mentioned 6-month diploma. And if any teacher is less than 12th pass, so for them, it's a 1-year diploma. But what about the teacher, those who are teaching in private school, then they are already entity, their masters. What for their development? Nothing is mentioned in this education policy.
Sanjay sir, that's about Anganwadi workers. That 12th pass and that thing is about Anganwadi workers.
Ma'am, but
Other than that, the
Anganwadi-
B.Ed is being
yes,
restructured.
yes, I'm coming to that. Anganwadi workers only are going to deal with the kids there up to like 5 na.
No, if
Most-
Anganwadi worker is 12th class pass, then for her it will be a 6 months
I got it.
diploma.
I got it. I
and,
got it. I
like
got
that.
it. This is what mentioned here. This is what
Yeah,
this
yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
But these Anganwadi students are not coming to our school. For
No,
our
no,
school,
sir, these clusters are in villages where when the laborers go out for their work, they leave their children in the centers called Anganwadi. So there some workers take care of them. So till now
Sorry.
they were taking care of their nutrition and safety. But from now on, they will be also trained about their educational games and activities.
I agree.
So
I agree with
it's
that.
about-
But
we don't get children from Anganwadis in cities,
yes,
but
but my
in
question-
villages they are there.
My question is there. What's new for us private schools in this NEP, especially in early childhood care and education? Because whatever the things they have mentioned, and we have already followed.
Sir, one
can do-
additional
but we can
class
do-
is a change in itself, and it's more about the vision. When we were talking about every school, like we design our own curriculum, completely experiential curriculum, but what we get, NCERT always comes up with fantastic manuals. So it's about the vision and approach, and we will all be using it in our curriculums to make it the best. So that's how we will make use of it, all of us.
And next is
Sanjay sir, I have a suggestion here.
Diksha program. You talked about Diksha.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
Digital
what we
infrastructure
can do.
for knowledge sharing. Recently, the
This is-
Diksha program has been started in all the schools, all the teachers, they were instructed from the board side to just enroll to these programs. And they have
Right.
to enroll
We can do-
CBSE, ICSE, even governments, or everybody's. But somewhere I found that the information and the way they are conducting this program
Sir, but
is not proper.
we can note down these points and we can go to all the speakers. So that would create more I would say clarity about. So you raised about that Anganwadi thing. You also talked about the Diksha portal, how it is going to help private schools, how it is going to help education ecosystem in totality. So these 2 points, and I would also request in next few minutes if you want to raise some more points or some more confusion, then collectively we will go back to the senior educators here to take their perspective. So one area was Anganwadi, second is Diksha.
And another thing they have mentioned in the beginning of the NEP that grade 1 student, they should be school ready student. Grade 1 students, when the students they are reaching in grade 1, they should be school ready. What does it mean? Okay, later they mentioned another literacy and numeracy. 3 months.
Sir, I have a thought, just to make it more useful for all of us. I have a thought that what we can do. If you want to we can divide your talk in 2 parts. If you want to elaborate something, some point or some idea, so you please finish that part first. And if not, so what we can do, you can start asking these questions and these points to our educators, and they can share their input on that.
Okay, just let me give me 5 minutes. I'm coming to conclusion. Okay, this school ready thing I was saying that in that NEP they have mentioned that interim 3 months play-based school preparation module for grade 1 students consisting of activities. They have mentioned many activities, worksheets, and alphabet sound words. Many things are there. It should be planned. It will be planned as per the instruction of this NEP before getting into the grade 1. But like it's mentioned there. So what like this grade 1?
Let's take the perspective from Reddy sir on this. So Reddy sir, and then I'll come to Jaswinder sir. Reddy sir, yes. Ramchandran sir, sorry, I'm sorry. Ramchandran sir, yes sir.
Let me answer that.
Yeah,
Okay. See, sir, it is what they're saying is after they see earlier what used to happen is the kids used to be in the preschool and suddenly they would come into the mainstream school and things were suddenly very different. Now what they're saying is because in the preschool it is playway method, and before going into formal we need to give them 3 months of transition period when they enter first standard, so that slowly from the playway they get into the activity based or the whatever sort of assignments that you do or things like that. So they are saying when they come to the first standard, first 3 months should be gradual transformation. So you don't have to suddenly give them a change that आप preschool में थे, yeah, soon after you complete your senior KG, when you go to first standard, you don't see a jerk in the activities. So that is what they're trying to say, is those first 3 months of the first standard should be a slow transition, which should be playway system, so that suddenly they don't get the jerk when they come into the learning systems. That is what they are saying, not that KG and first के बीच में 3 महीने और करने हैं. ये आपके first standard के 3 महीनों में initial 3 months have to be done this way. That is what they mean, sir.
That too I got, sir. I completely agree with this thing. But our students for the last many years, they are studying this nursery, LKG, UKG things, and they are coping with all these things, and they are coming to first standard and they're performing well.
Sir, Sanjay sir, Doctor sir, ऐसा है कि if you look at the Indian student, first standard student is burdened with what कि पढ़ाई करना है. First standard student generally cries in the class, in the school, normally, not everywhere, right? What they're trying to do is they are trying to make learning a very interesting and something that the child should love to go to school. See, you look at India and you look at the other progressive countries where education is good, these students love to go to school. They play more than what they study, and using their play methods or experiential things, that is how they learn. So what the NEP 2020 aims to do is when they go from the simple playway method to formal learning, it should be done in such a way that they don't have to worry. Now, your school may be doing that, but not everybody, right? And
Most of all the private schools, they are doing this. I think Anuradha Man's school also has.
Sir, Sanjay sir, it's about like grade 1 onwards in the primary years, the kind of learning children have to do, they have to do in grade 1 only. That they've not done in KG. And so now they will have to deal with writing sentences, forming answers, doing creative writing, comprehending, and, the other stuff. So getting ready for that, equipped
Ma'am,
with
you're
that,
you're not
also
getting my
skilled with
question.
thinking and all. So that's
Sorry-
what is
sorry
meant
to-
by school ready. Means
sorry-
you are skilled
sorry to
enough
interrupt.
to take
Sorry
on all
to-
those classes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but see, they have mentioned that these 3 months would be to learn alphabet, sounds, words, colors, shapes, and numbers.
Sir,
So
that's
these
you
things
were
they have
talking
already
about.
learned in nursery, LKG, UKG.
You were talking about all kinds of schools. So somewhere where maybe a lot of rote learning takes place. So there the concepts are not formed. So when actually NEP will come into play, then you will have 3 classes before grade 1. So they'll be quite equipped. But for the first year, like next year when NEP is going to be implemented in schools, so there can be a 3 months bridge course, they have said, that those 3 months in which children will consolidate all their learning if it has not formed till that time, means all those letters, phonics and everything is again revised, and all the children who were having a learning gap with them, they will be ready, to take on their further syllabus of grade 1. So that's what that bridge course is about. Because if you will actually map their learning on the rubrics, learning outcomes, as we say, then schools will find many gaps, maybe, because 100% children do not exhibit all the skills and all kind of learning. So when it will be actually mapped on a rubric for learning outcomes, there will be gaps, and schools can have those 3 months, that 3-month program to equip every child. So I think that will be useful. We can use it in spirit, the vision and approach. As it is useful, for every school, it would be subjective that how and when, how we want to use it to our best. So that's
one more thing, ma'am. Sir, this is for the entire country. Your
Yeah.
school ABC may be doing, but majority of the schools which are in the rural belt, semi-urban belt, or the state board schools are not following that. So this policy is made with everybody in mind. So your school, our schools may be doing that, but they have to put in perspective for everybody. That is
Sir,
why a
I'm not
policy.
questioning. I'm not questioning the NEP. I
Yes,
have
yes,
some
Sanjay
concerns.
sir, because time we have a limited. Sanjay sir, we have a limited time.
Thank you,
We can-
Pratap sir. Thank you very much. Thank
No,
you.
no, no. What I was saying, Sanjay sir, because you have raised very important points, and not just you, many educators across country, because we have been organizing these sessions and we have interacted thousands of people across country so far. So you have raised very valid points. A lot of educators have the confusion, about the interpretation of different points, about the validity of different points, impact of different points. So they are, that is the whole agenda of organizing this leadership talk, to talk about these points in a more detail. But how we can utilize it. So I would request Sanjay sir, either because we have learned educators here, we have Anuradha ma'am, Ramchandran sir, Jaswinder sir, Geeta ma'am here. So we need to we can utilize their experience. So I would suggest that if you can raise 2-3 points where you have that kind of confusion, so that we can take their inputs.
So I have already raised, but I just want to mention one thing. As Ma'am Vinita said, that CC was not a failure. You also just mentioned it later. Yes, it was not a failure, but failure was the implementation of CC. It was not implemented properly. The same thing we are worried about this with this NEP, because things are not clear and neat. No, everybody has their own interpretation. So when it'll be in practical thing in on schools, especially the private school, because we are working in the private school, so we have to think about our own home. Especially first we have to think about our own schools. So somewhere it's going to disturb the system which we already set up in our private schools. Somewhere we are worried. I'm not questioning at all the NEP. It has very good options, very good proposals. Many things are there. Choice of the subjects.
counter that. Let me counter that. Where there is a will, then there is a way. So if we are here together, we are talking about, I'm sure it will be a huge success.
For that
As I said earlier, it is CCE in a different form, much enriched. So CCE hasn't gone anywhere. And implementation, previously, we did not have so many Zoom sessions to reach out, to learn from each other. Pandemic at least taught us that. So with this spirit, I think we will move forward and we will keep on learning from each other. And if all of us will it, why wouldn't it happen? Implementation will also happen.
Let's. I would request Ramchandran sir wants to share something. Ramchandran sir, if we can have your input.
Yeah, Dr. Sanjay sir was making special reference to private schools like CBSE, or I'd say elite schools like ICSE, CBSE, or international board schools. India is a country, and we have drawn about 32 crores of schools to our 32 crores of students to our classrooms. We have about 13 lakh schools, including 28,000 CBSE schools, actually 3,000 ICSE schools. That comprise only 2.5 to 3% of the total student population. When ECC is concerned, we can say children age group 3 to 6 years, their attention span in the classroom itself is zigzagging. Maximum 2 to 3 minutes time only attention span. Afterwards, it distracts. So, you see, whatever they learn in nursery or LKG or UKG, even our formal students, during summer holidays or winter holidays, that's what the Asiparetu University research has found in learning those happen. So the very purpose of what Jaswinder Singh sir rightly put it, like a bridge course to bring back into the academic track, to reintroduce, to relearn literacy, numeracy, as well as the languages. This is what envisioned in the new education policy. And a large country like India having 132 crores of people, like CCE and all those earlier introduced concept, it was excellent one, wonderful one, but that covers only negligible segment of the student community. So like a gross enrollment ratio covers means the whole student, they are the future of our country tomorrow.
Right. So I have a request here that we have 2 more eminent speakers among us. So I'm sure after listening to them, a few of our points will get further clarity. So Sanjay sir, I'll be coming back to you. And now I would request Jaswinder sir, sir, if we can have your thoughts and input, and we'll go to the open house. Jaswinder sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rajulji and Dr. Sanjay. Thank you so much for bringing in such a lot of passion and energy into our discussions today. I would like to point out certain things since I come from the field of technology and usage of technology for language learning. I will start first with technology. You see, the greatest concern that we all have is that new policy, great, excellent, great things, something new that we don't know, we want to implement it. It starts with teacher training, right? But what I would say is that when we start with teacher training, the first thing that we need to do is train teachers on the use of technology. They have learned a lot on their own during the pandemic, by hook or by crook or by help or by whatever way. But what needs to be done is we need to train our teachers how to locate information, how to source information. See, there's something very, very important that we all need to understand. We are trying to teach students who can learn much faster than we as teachers can do. Because, like I had earlier said, we are technology migrants, but the students are technology residents. They were born with a mobile in their hands. They were born with technology on their fingertips or with internet on their fingertips. So they know much more. They can learn much more. So what is important today is not to know everything, but to know where to find everything. So that's one thing that I would propose, that as edu leaders, as principals, as management, we need to understand that we need to train our teachers so that they can learn on their own. How long will we be able to teach them or train them? Because things are going to change every year. I have been giving this example in a lot of forums. You see, let's understand the teacher of, let's understand what our teachers used to do and what teachers of today do. Same teacher having 24 hours. Okay. So our teachers, for them, the curriculum used to change every 10 years. Today, for teachers, curriculum changes every year. Imagine the same teacher, 24 hours, same husband, same family, same house, same in-laws, and same work to be done. How will the teacher find to learn everything within a year? Technology. So what we need to do is first and for all, train our teachers how to locate, filter, and get the information that he and she wants. One, so that we are able to cope up with things. We'll have to understand that from being a sage on the stage, we need to be a facilitator. Vinita ma'am rightly said, we have to be facilitators. Rightly said, we are chief learning officers. Ma'am, you know what, Vinita ma'am? One of the greatest teachers was Chanakya. You know what he said? Who is a teacher? A teacher is a person who lets the learner know that I know as much as you know, let's learn together. That is what is going to happen, because these kids are very smart. One thing. Second thing, what we need to understand is we were also talking about curriculum and the kind of syllabus and all that. I don't think there should be syllabus. You see, there should be can-do statements that at this age level, this is what a child should be able to do. This is what a child should be minimum able to do, so that they can explore and research on their own. That is what is important. And you saw in English or for languages, we don't have syllabus. We have can-do statements that at this level, this is what he can do, this is what he can she do, and this is what she can do at this level. That is what we need to bring in when we talk about education. Look at the IB curriculum. I'm not a great supporter of IB curriculum, but look at what they've done. When we talk about PISA, why is it that our students were not able to perform? Not that they were not intelligent. We did not teach them how to think.
Okay.
Not that they did not understand what the questions were. They were not asked the questions that they were taught to answer. See, otherwise, if you look at, our students have fared the best in foreign countries when they go and work abroad or study abroad. It is not how intelligent they are, it is how have we prepared them. So what we need to do is start working on that. Let me give you an example. If I were to be a teacher, if I were to teach, I would use the flipped classroom method always. Instead of telling today I'm going to teach this, I would say tomorrow I'm going to teach this. Come prepared with this. Say, let's take example. I'm going to teach, I'm going to take up a session on volcanoes. So I want each and every child to come up with 10 lines on volcanoes tomorrow. What is it that the kids are going to do? They're going to go home straight, Google it out. Unfortunately, they will not get 10 lines. They'll get 10,000 lines. That's where they start working That's where they have to read more. That's where they have to filter more and come up with their own 10 lines. And in the next day, we ask each one to get up and present their points. So first, they get presentation skills because they have to get up and present themselves. Second, communication skills. Third, peer group learning. Fourth, collaborative learning. And then what the teachers do, out of 30 students giving 10 lines of their own, they come up with 10 common lines and then they present it to the teacher, where the teacher as a facilitator works. What happens? Nobody's burdened. Everybody's having a great time and learning is happening. This is also an experiential learning by its way. Learning by reasoning, learning by, finding out things on. That is what will make our students better. That is what our education will become much, much better. It is not that Indians don't have brain. We can't do better than others. We can do the best across the world. See, one more thing, PISA, what happened in the last many years? They had sent students from only KVs. I don't think students from private schools had gone there. And let me tell you one thing. There is a person who's an editor of a very prominent education magazine. He says 10% of all successful people, 90% of all successful people come from 10% private schools. And 10% of successful people come from 90% government schools. So what the government has to do is to raise the standards of their schools the way Delhi government is doing. Okay, so that is what I'm talking about, that Indians need not worry if NEP implemented properly and if reaches what it is desired at the levels, I'm sure this will work out. And that's what I talk about, is how do we prepare our students to like what they're doing? And that's exactly what NEP has done. You choose your subjects of choice. You choose the combination that works for you. Who says that you have to only study science and maths together? See, this year they said even a student without doing mathematics can take up engineering. A person like me would have been great because I used to hate mathematics. I did electronics. I know how I did it. But ultimately, when I got chance, I came back to languages which I love the most, though I started coding before that. Okay, anyway, so that's the crux that we need to make. So that is what NEP is looking at, is giving you the freedom to teach the way you want, to learn the way you want, and learn what you want. And that's exactly what we should be celebrating. That's something that we need to celebrate. Okay, coming on to my important part, the portion is about language. I think we've not been able to touch upon that point. Is NEP says that during the early foundation years, and if required up to standard 5 or standard 8, we should teach them in the local language. Why? Very important. You see what happens during the early foundation years. On one side, we are trying to acquire English as a language, and the other side, we are acquiring the core skills in English. When I don't understand English, I can't comprehend. How do you expect me to comprehend mathematics and science or EVS? So great step. Let these students acquire their core skills in their language of choice. It can be the local language or the mother tongue. But remember, that doesn't mean that English will start only after class 8 or class 5. That is not going to work. Research says that a child till the age of 8 can acquire up to 5 languages. There's another research which says that, the way we have said that 3 language formula, a child, if he speaks 3 or more languages, their brain works better. Imagine in one sentence, you put in 3 languages and still make meaning out of it. That's logic. So what we need to do is we need to promote all 3 languages. We're talking about the local language or the mother tongue, the foreign language, that is English, and the classical language, that's Sanskrit. Why are we doing that? Anuradha ma'am, you spoke about culture, heritage, and globalization. Our local culture, local heritage comes from the local language. If I know the local language, I will be able to explore that local culture and heritage. If I know Sanskrit or the classical language, there are other languages also, I will know what India is all about, what Bharat is all about. There's such a lot of information, a lot of knowledge buried into those scriptures. If the Germans can use them, why not us? Plus, it brings in nationalism. Today, what our country needs and what we have seen, we could go and face a very strong country only because we had that nationalist feeling within ourselves. Like, we decided to boycott a certain country products, and we did it. We brought them down to the knees. Now, it is not only education, it is love for your country, which too has to be brought in within it. So that's why these classical languages or the local language is very important. And English, of course, it is there. It has to be taken up. So the 3 language formula works great, and I'm sure it will do wonders. If students can acquire 5 languages, we're still stuck at 3. No problem. no problem, we should be doing that. Okay. One more important thing that I would say, see, I've been working with so many students and we get, reports on how they perform. We have realized that increasingly students are reading less. Reading as a habit is not being formed. And on the other side, NEP talks about research-based learning. How do you expect to do research without having love for reading? So it's one important thing that you will all have to do as educators. We'll have to see to it that reading in whichever language, and ultimately in English, reading habits are very important. They not only are good for education, they make you a wise person, and they are the best friend. So what I would say is that if we work on these 3 language formula, starting with all 3 languages right from the first standard, because in the pre-KG or junior KG or those levels, we should not worry about what language. But from class 1, actually, the early literacy, we should focus on all 3 languages. You see, we developed this language lab on Sanskrit. We realized it is the most logical language. If the name is Jaswinder, there's a reason why after Ja there's a Sir, and after Sir there's a Ver. There's a reason, there's a formula there. We had never thought of that. So if we acquire these languages, we will become more logical, more nationalistic. We will learn more, know more, and do more. So that's what I would want to say, is this is something very would work on. And again, for acquiring more languages, technology will help. Using our solution, we are supporting 1 million students every day in this country. If they can do it, millions more can do it. So it is easy. We should not be worried about burdening students with language. Language is like song. I say it's like a poetry. Okay,
Yes.
it flows. And the moment you start liking something, that is not a burden. And if you're good at languages, all other subjects become good. So that's what I would want to, not take you to the take any further time of yours. I will wait for the question answer session. But this is important, that this is something very important. One question people have asked, how will we get people who speak local language? But if you stay in that area, you would know that local language, and you don't have to teach them rocket science in local language. It's only the course aspects of the early learning. So that should not be a problem. So all 3 languages together would do wonders. Thank you.
Thank you,
Very well
Jaswinder sir.
Very true. Reading is
Thank you.
important. And Sanskrit is the most, the best programming language. NASA,
Yes, ma'am.
has worked it out, and our next level programming will be in Sanskrit.
Yeah,
So,
ma'am, because it is
yeah,
logical.
it has, yes, and very neuro-linguistic
Yes,
language it is.
yes.
So it is to be utilized. We do
Ma'am,
it.
the way you use the different swars and vyanjans, it actually helps your body. It helps
Yes,
you
this is
proper.
what this is. Yes, neuro-linguistic programming
yes.
and development.
It sends you the right signals to the brain with the respiration. So, when we were developing it, we have a lot of PhD people working on this. That's when we realized that we've got a language we don't look at, and you look
That's
at all German universities doing it. So the
That's
first
what
thing that
we
we
are-
did was
yes.
develop it. And I would like to share with you, all Kendriya Vidyalayas, they have to implement a Sanskrit lab, which we are giving it to them. Government is so strict on implementing it. So
Yeah.
there is a reason why they are doing that.
Yes,
It is
so
not only
we are doing it in our entire school. I mean,
Great,
Sanskrit
great,
is
ma'am,
being
great,
used because of this,
Logical
utility
thing.
of this. Yeah, the language, how beneficial it is.
right.
Right.
Okay, over
Thank
to
you,
you,
Jaswinder
Rajan
sir.
ji.
Thank you, Anuradha ma'am, for your inputs. And now I would request Ms. Nitin Nakwalji, the last speaker for this very special session. Nitin ji, if we can have your ideas, and then we'll go to the open house part. Nitin ji, you are on mute.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, am I audible?
you are audible, sir.
Yeah, just a moment. Yeah, I'm sorry. So it was a very good session once again. Thank you, Anuradha ma'am, and thank you, Jaswinder sir, everyone present. So I am going to speak on the role of the aptitude, personality, and interest in choosing a career. Now, why some people are happy and satisfied in their career, while others, 5 years, 7 years down the line,